Meghan Markle was one of several women who served as panelists at South by Southwest. The panel was called Breaking Barriers, Shaping Narratives: How Women Lead On and Off Screen. If you're new here, my thing is looking at media and looking at their relationships to powerful people and how they cover them. With that said, we're going to look at a little bit of what was said during this conversation, then look at how both the British media and the American media is covering it so far.
From a philanthropic standpoint with our foundation, there's obviously a lot of work to be done in terms of supporting women and moms. You can begin with paid leave. And
Hello.
I've said this for so many years, and I hope that it starts to land, but I think we can all agree that representation matters in terms of if you're a young girl and you see yourself in a position of power or strength or leadership, you can believe that that is possible. Really make some changes on a systemic level. And then, on the flip side of that, we have a responsibility in all of that. The systemic change has to happen at the same time as the cultural change is happening. Because if you're reading something terrible about a woman, why are you sharing it with your friends? Why are you choosing to put that out in the world? What if it was your friend or your mom or your daughter? You wouldn't do it. And I think that is the piece that is so lost right now in what's happening in the digital space and in certain sectors of the media. We have forgotten about our humanity. And that has got to change, because I understand there's a bottom line and I understand that a lot of money is being made there. But even if it's making dollars, it doesn't make sense.
The British media coverage over the past couple of hours has been all over the place. We, of course, have body language experts, and The Sun has this article: mega inspiring. Vulnerable Meghan fights back, giving IWD talk, but still shows off her regal side. Which is in stark contrast to this exclusive to the Mirror. Meghan Markle exudes aggressive arousal and anger after touching on toxic online abuse. Why the word arousal? You might say, well, two different body language experts are going to have different opinions, but it's the same body language expert. It's good old Judy both times. What a vastly different read. First, talk about her outfit. A lot of people say she stuns in it. Of course, there is conversation about the price tag, because, spoiler alert, wealthy women can afford nice clothes. It's groundbreaking. And there is the piece that is making rounds because it most closely touches on Meghan Markle and her time in the British royal family. She says it's not catty, it's cruel. The focus of this Telegraph article, and it's very telling that the key moments are pretty much only about this part. The video is over an hour long, and they're only showing 7:45 p.m. to 7:59 p.m. of when Meghan was talking on stage. Meghan hits out on cruel abuse, says GB News. Here's the problem: if you don't know the question, you don't have the context. She was asked a question including about her own experience with social media abuse. And you can tell that she starts to kind of talk and then she pauses. You can see her resetting and figuring out how she touches on that, but then jumps out to the larger implications of this kind of cultural acceptance of the way we treat women online by other women, and also the bottom line and how money and how social media profits off of that come into play.
Media has really become the go-to place for girls and women to be scrutinized, objectified, bullied, right? And unfortunately, I know that this is something that you are all too familiar with. So how have you been able to manage the seemingly endless toxicity that comes at you?
Yes, social media is a environment that I think has a lot of that. It's really interesting as I can reflect on it. I keep my distance from it right now just for my own well-being. But the bulk of the bullying and abuse that I was experiencing in social media and online was when I was pregnant with Archie and with Lily and with a newborn with each of them. And you just think about that and you to really wrap your head around why people would be so hateful. It's not catty, it's cruel. You could either succumb to it or nearly succumb to how painful that is. And maybe in some regards, because I was pregnant, that mammalian instinct just kicked in. Do everything you can to protect your child and as a result, protect yourself too. But, I think as we look at what's happening in social media, there is so much work to be done in terms of keeping people safe. That starts as we see what's happening with children and their exposure to things, but also just creating these habits that what I find the most disturbing, frankly, especially as a supporter of women, is how much of the hate is women completely spewing that to other women. And I cannot make sense of that. Incentivizes people to create pages where they can churn out very, very inciting comments and conspiracy theories that can have a tremendously negative effect on someone's mental health, their physical safety.
The Daily Mail, Meghan Markle proudly retells well-worn tale about campaigning against sexist P&G soap ad. Very important point that is left out of this headline. I know most people usually just read the headline.
The story about when you wrote that letter to P&G, because I don't know if everyone's heard it, but it's such a great story at a very young age what you did.
What she and the other women were talking about was so much bigger than her lived experience that she was asked about. Quickly, let's take a look at some American media. Look at how Variety magazine positions this. Meghan Markle talks social media dangers at South by Southwest. There is so much work to be done in terms of keeping people safe. And The Hollywood Reporter, Meghan Markle on social media's toxic impact. Even if it's making dollars, it doesn't make sense. In Touch, which is a tabloid, says Meghan Markle addresses endless toxicity and social media bullying at South by Southwest, forgotten our humanity. This is a little more in line with what the British media were saying, but far less dramatic. Obviously, American media is not perfect. It's not overwhelmingly negative, but it does say that she claims she was bullied during pregnancy. We saw it and people studied it. And last but not least, my favorite one. This Daily Mail live blog update. Meghan Markle invited on stage as the Duchess of Sussex. Yeah, because it's her title. To all the people that were so precious about titles when it comes to Catherine, surely you can't be mad at someone using the title that they have and was given to them. And Richard allegedly doesn't really have sources. Eden weighs in with the fact that they are paying to hold the event in desperate relaunch bid. This is a huge get for South by Southwest. And the topic relates to work that Archwell is doing and that she is clearly invested in. If desperate is another word for poised, passionate, curious, then yeah, sure.